at the Food and Beverage Innovation Forum speaking with George Zhang, who is the Managing Director of Barry Callebaut China. George, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
This week you're just talking about Ruby chocolate, which is described as the fourth variety of chocolate which Barry Callebaut launched in late 2017. How have consumers responded to the chocolate since it was launched?
Well, they are very excited. I mean, you can see through the media that now Ruby chocolate has been launched all over the places. We started off from Japan and then rolled it out to UK, Belgium, Netherlands, Europe, and then we were honored to be picked in the Oscar dinner in US last year, and now China, of course. But here in China, we just started. We will see more and more customers and people's companies will put Ruby out there in the next 6 to 9 months. So yeah, people are talking about it.
Okay. And what are some of the applications that your customers have used the chocolate for? Have they just been traditional normal chocolate bars or different kind of formulations? Or?
Yeah, well, Ruby started off with Kit Kat, as you all know. That then later on move on to other chocolate confectionery usage, bonbons, pralines, bars, and what have you. And now, of course, Ruby was also used with ice cream when Magnum launched last summer in Europe, and we're also looking at ice cream applications here in China. Although not launched yet, but there are people working with us to prepare for it.
Okay, because you mentioned obviously the ice cream in China. Are there any differences in terms of sort of consumer demand in China for different kind of chocolate tastes or sort of a mouthfeel or a different kind of chocolate in terms of how it's made? How are the consumer demands different?
Absolutely, Drew. That chocolate is a chocolate. I mean, that travels. But indeed, China and this part of the world have some unique preference of how chocolate would appeal to them. First of all, Chinese doesn't have as sweet mouth as some other countries. So Chinese does like things less sweet. Okay, so that's one part of it. The other side of the issue is then Chinese is very tuned into the chocolate flavor together with nuts. So pairing with nuts is a great popularity here in China. Of course, also Chinese like some non-traditional ways of chocolate taste. So Chinese is very open to white chocolate with different flavors. But at the meantime, Chinese is now, particularly premium consumers, really go for dark chocolate as well.
Okay, because I think the Chinese consumption of chocolate isn't perhaps as high as other countries per capita, but it's rising, isn't it? And how do you aim to capitalize on this growth?
Absolutely. I mean, per capita consumption of Chinese is probably around 200-250 grams compared to typical European like Switzerland, that Swiss people probably consume over 1.5 to 2 kilos a year. But having said all that, chocolate is an exotic food. So we're not expecting Chinese to all of a sudden eating as much as chocolate as Swiss. Having said all that, chocolate, if they combine with local food, it has a lot of potential. Pairing with bakeries, with cakes, pairing with ice creams, with all the local food together, chocolate does give you a lot of potential to grow.
And last month, Barry Callebaut opened a new chocolate academy in Beijing. I think it's the second of its kind in China. How will this enable the company to grow? What are you aiming to use it for?
Absolutely. We're very glad to have a second academy now open in Beijing after 10 years ago that opened the first one in Shanghai. This is alongside with our city strategy that we bring chocolate and chocolate applications closer to people down into this country. We would foresee there will be more cities that will have peoples or even have more academies going forward for such a big country. And we hope we can help people to enjoy chocolate, use chocolate, and really appreciate it.
Sure. And you mentioned the different cities where you can target growth. Are there any areas where you're particularly focused on, where you think, okay, there's room for growth in the chocolate market in these perhaps smaller cities in China?
Absolutely. I mean, chocolate goes along with lifestyle. The first choice is always the tier 1, tier 2 cities, but of course you see the wealthy country now, Chinese also in tier 3, tier 4 cities, that people are getting more active, getting more popular with food like chocolate. So we see the potential is enormous, but at the first stage that we will be picking up about 25 to 30 top cities that focus on. But having said all that, potential is enormous.
Okay, and one final question. Going forward in the next perhaps 5 to 10 years, how do you see the growth of Ruby chocolate globally?
Well, that's very early to say now. I mean, we just launched Ruby a little bit over a year, and we see a lot of excitement. But there's an awful lot more potential to be explored with Ruby. Even ourselves, we're learning how to work with this new type of chocolate, even ourselves. So our customers inspire us, and we also trying to help them. So let's see, what are the potential?
Okay, well, we look forward to finding out. George, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.